Yo, we're live. We are freaking live in the podcast episode today. Actually, not podcast just yet, but we're live in this group because I want to bring really awesome people. Okay, and right now I'm bringing an agent investor, agent wholesaler, wholesaler, realtor investor, whatever you want to call it. And I just so happened to also be in a meeting with a guy that was easily making 3.5 million per month. That's kind of crazy. But I learned a lot of lessons from it, and I'm gonna post it in the podcast as well. Actually, been working all my systems for the podcast, and I think I made also John get a quick mic here. We're gonna have him as a podcast guest. I made him work. I made him work right here.
Anything for you.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Uh, the Jetty mic, is that right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Awesome. So watch out that it kind of sometimes comes down and everything. Jetties are weird because you have to talk to them like it's like standing. You have to talk to them like this instead of like this. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
That's how jetties do. And let's do sound check. Usually, StreamYard, you have to connect your sound, go to settings, and be able to. We're right now just live on the Facebook group. We're not just in the podcast just yet.
Okay, cool. So
Joel, thanks for the great setup comment, man.
So I selected Jetty in my settings, so I should be good to go.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to start our podcast here, guys, and let's freaking do this. All right. Oh, hold on. This is the part where I take five more minutes. 1 sec.
Okay.
Mic check. I'm good.
Mic check. You can read about success all day long, but if you don't put in the work, the mindset, execution, and the hustle behind your vision, it just remains a dream.
When everything goes wrong, you have to take all the responsibility.
We uncover what high-level entrepreneurs, business owners do to rise up from hustling daily.
So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances.
The world becomes your library to help you to become better at your craft.
Join me as I share with you actionable tips to help you grow your business, learn skills, and help you level up in your self-development journey.
Your number one spot for business and personal growth is the Online Hustlers Podcast with your host, Esteban Andrade.
Hey, what's going on today in the Online Hustlers Podcast, guys? I have a guest for you. It's an agent investor, all right? Agent wholesaler, whatever you want to call, realtor wholesaler, realtor investor. And there's only just a few of them out there that are successfully doing what they're doing. Like usually realtors, they can get a license and they can usually just go ahead and start doing what they're doing in real estate, helping mom and pop, helping your sister, brother, whatever, friends out there to get real estate, but they don't understand business, do not really understand marketing, and they're not willing to. So that's why there's so many agents not really being successful and not so many agents that are not actually making money. But I'm not only bringing him today because of that, but I'm bringing him today because he has a story to tell that will potentially change the way that you see things in perspective and also will help you make millions. And I have here John McSherry, just coming from straight New York. We got the New York language right here, so he's a hard worker, hustler. Are you like from the what? Like from Wall Street or from where, man? What's going on?
Hey, man. Hey, guys. I'm John McSherry. Thank you for having me, Esteban. And what part of New York am I from? I'm right outside of New York City, so I'm right outside of Queens on the South Shore. If anyone knows Manhattan, probably about a half an hour away from Manhattan. So,
all right, awesome. So yeah, I love to talk with you, man, and I'm so pleased to have you here because we met in person too. We went through a really good, just real estate 2-day kind of like workshop, seminar event, and we learned a lot. And from one of the top producers in the country, and also like a real coach that not only coaches but produces. And we learned so many about real estate sales systems and obviously marketing systems, but most importantly, systems that will make your company grow. And you had a story that honestly, like, couldn't really get a whole pack, the whole bunch of it. And I want you to share it because from what I got was really impactful. At the same time, I really would like for people to know like what you're doing right now. Like you're an agent investor. Like that's honestly that itself says a lot. Like is an agent that went to do now wholesaling and everything. I love to really like learn to what you're doing, what you have accomplished, and like potentially like you can tell us the story, which comes with a lot of struggles for you to be where you are.
Sure, sure. So I'll just give you the surface level first. Again, my name is John McSherry. I live in New York. I'm a real estate agent broker in Long Island and Manhattan. Also just got licensed in Florida as well. And also a real estate investor. We fix and flip properties, we wholesale, we buy rentals, and we also started developing in Brooklyn. So all that being said, let me back up and tell you my story. When I was 21 years old, my father actually passed away, and that was a very difficult thing for me because I was still kind of a kid. I was still developing and learning my way. I was in college at the University of the Arts in Philadelphia studying industrial design. It's like designing everyday things, graphic design, furniture, interiors. And it happened right when I was in the midst of college, and it was a very difficult time for me. It was a time that I was still trying to figure things out. Trying to work my way through school. And I was actually working in nightclubs, which something I enjoy doing. I love to break dance and go out and party and go to raves as a kid. So while I was in college, I was actually partying a lot. I was working in nightclubs. I was actually dancing in nightclubs, and I was making good money. But with that lifestyle came a lot of drinking, a lot of partying. So as things got more difficult in life, with my family, I started to progressively party more. And it got to the point where I was partying all day, every day. But somehow I graduated college, and I'll never forget, about a month after I graduated college, I burned through all my graduation money. I became broke, lost my license, and I was homeless all within a month's time. And at that point, I had nowhere to go and no other option but to call my Aunt Lisa in New York. So I called my Aunt Lisa and I'm like, Lisa, I have nowhere to go. Can I come to New York for 2 weeks? That's all I need to just get back on my feet. And she said, sure. And she welcomed me with open arms. So I'm really grateful for that. And I moved into her garage. She had a half a garage that was partially renovated, so I had a place to go. And I moved in, and it just gave me the chance to kind of like take a step back, humble myself, hit this bottom, and try to figure things out. And unfortunately, I couldn't stop partying, but they did help me understand that I needed to get help. So went into a 12-step program, and that program helped me understand what was going on in my life. And it also gave me a design for living, because I didn't know how to live. I was living like a crazy person, just working in nightclubs and partying all day, every day. Even though I had a college degree, I was like, I did not know how to live. But the catch was, the only way that I could stay on that track and that new design for living is if I would freely go out and give it to other people the way that it was freely given to me. So no job, no car, but I would get rides to jails, to rehab centers, to meetings, to just find people to obsessively help. And that was the only way that I would get better. And I actually did get better. And after a couple months of this process, I got a job in Manhattan as a designer and started working in design, which was my passion as a kid. I always wanted to do design work, and I was actually working in that field, and I was living this new way of living. And over time, I just started watching HGTV when I had free time, and I started to become obsessed with renovations and the color and the design and everything that went into these renovation shows. And I said to myself, one day I want to do that myself. So I decided to save every penny, and I lived in that garage for 5 years. I didn't date. I didn't eat out. I brought my lunch to work every day, and I just became completely obsessed about this goal of buying my first property. So in 2011, bought that first property, moved into it. And shortly after, I was in the cafeteria talking, and this woman overheard me. Her name was Jamie. And she came up and she said, John, I heard you talking about a renovation. My husband actually just read the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I think you should check it out. So read the book and then went to a Rich Dad Poor Dad event. And I learned about investing. I learned about how to look at money differently, how to look at assets and liabilities. And it just changed my thinking to where I said to myself, I just spent 5 years living in a garage, saving for this condo. And now I have to sell this liability to go out and buy assets. So I was like, here we go. So tried to sell it, couldn't sell it as a for sale by owner, then decided to get my real estate license. So got the license, sold it over asking. That was good. And then just started flipping houses. So that's really where that whole kind of investing side started. And bought my first solo flip by myself in 2015. Flipped that house, made 150,000, but I still had so much fear that I would never be able to replicate that again. So I stayed at my job out of fear. And I kept flipping houses on the side until 2017, hired a real estate coach. And he was like, I want you to do two things, make videos and make cold calls. And that's what I started doing. And that helped me build my business online.
Make videos like social media or things like that.
Yeah. So I was
Okay.
posting on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and that helped me get more deals, build more relationships. And I was able to build both businesses at the same time, the sales business as an agent and the investing business for the flipping. So time went on, started wholesaling, started flipping more houses, and started creating a real estate course, which I'm just finishing up now. And as of now, in the wholesale business, we're marketing to 85,000 leads a month. And then we're doing close to 10 deals a month. On the flipping business, we're flipping about 3 to 5 properties a month. And I usually raise private capital for the acquisition money and then use hard money for the rest of the acquisition, plus the holding and the rehab. And it's just been a wild ride ever since then.
Man, you mentioned a lot of things that really we can go back and just talk about, discuss, like how really it made you go from really bad situations or rock bottom, how a lot of people call it, and really go back and make not only a living for yourself, but like substantially like surpass the average, be on the top, and continuously doing that. I'm assuming that. So when you were telling me also in the car how you were consistently like doing these parties and being in this addiction that you had, and drugs were left and right in your thing, like I also share like something very similar that I didn't do it myself, but I helped someone kind of get out of the situation, which was my cousin, where I actually helped him get out of the party and addiction of like doing different multiple drugs and things like that. And when he got out of it, because it was my help that got him outside of the city, moved to another city, get a job, get an interview, and I actually helped him through the process. That fulfillment part was great. But not only that, he also grew as a person, and he also changed the way that he was doing things and started making money, of course, and the good money, right? Not bad money, like actual good money. But like, how did you even just that process, like of like trying to like overcome this and like overcome yourself, like you were an obstacle in your life, like how was it? Because I know what I helped my friend. He moved to another city. He changed the way that he saw things with my help. And he also kind of like got a good sense of how I can make money because I gave him an interview. But you had like all these external forces that kind of helped you, but ultimately it was your own effort. So how was that? Like really I'd like to understand it from your perspective.
Sure. Well, the 12-step program that I was involved in was really about filling that void that's within us that we're looking to fill it with external things. So for me, it was partying, drugs, alcohol, whatever. But once I was able to fulfill myself, whether it was a relationship with a higher power or a relationship with the people around you, that's what really helped me at that time. But it's continuing that, right? So it's not just that experience that I had at that moment, but it's continually nourishing the mindset. It's continually learning, continually looking for people to help on a daily basis, because look, it's like I had that great experience, my life changed, but I could easily go back to that place if I'm not out doing the right thing. So I think it really comes down to just coming from a place of looking to help and serve people at all times, continually educating yourself, and just building relationships all day, every day. But it was truly that 12-step program that helped me personally, but not everybody has to go through that, right? I went through that, but that doesn't mean that somebody else that's struggling has to go through that. I think it's really just surrounding yourself with the right people, putting the right information into your mind, and developing healthy habits. Because like I said, I had to learn how to live, and I was giving a design for living. And part of that was just having great habits.
Yeah. And I mean, you're a designer basically, so you have a creative mind as well. And I'm pretty sure like whenever you were on this bad situations, drugs and parties and things like that, your head was being visionary and your head was being creative, but in the wrong stuff, right? Like it was like, I'm pretty sure you were creative in the wrong stuff, in the wrong things. So you can really utilize your skill set that you currently have on the right things, right?
Mhm.
And that happens a lot. Like sometimes we're in the wrong vehicle, and like it's almost impossible to get out because it's us who are actually stopping us because we're in the wrong vehicle and not doing what we're supposed to do. We're stuck, right? So, as an example, I think me was like, uh, this is nothing to do with like being addicted or something like that, but I was in a vehicle of an office in engineering where I was doing something for a company that is a big ass company, Chrysler, and help
Mhm.
them with the engineering design and design of the vehicles, and I was doing really well. But that vehicle was just like not allowing me for my inner genius to just
Mhm.
expand, to grow. It was like a disease at some point because it got so like I got so used to it, and I couldn't really grow. I couldn't really like talk the way that I wanted to talk, to express the way I wanted to talk, create the one I wanted to create. So it became something like kind of inner toxic for me,
Mhm.
until like I actually got out of it. Obviously, your thing was like a situation where like it was also affecting you, you know, mentally. It was affecting
Mhm.
you like financially and everything, and your relationships around. So obviously it's much more different. But you talk about like giving, putting yourself in a position of giving, and like basically showing love,
Mhm.
right? Like showing love.
Mhm.
Like how did that change? Like how did you start applying it? And how did that, what did actually putting yourself in a position do to you? Like what
Mhm.
exactly you started doing?
Wow, that's really powerful, and great that you picked up on that, because one of the main reasons why somebody does something to get out of themselves, like drink, drug, or whatever else, whatever kind of vice they have, I've actually realized that it could be a selfish act, right? So, like, let's say you're not feeling well and you say, I want to go have a drink, or like, I want to get drunk tonight, right? So then by drinking, now you're intoxicated and you can't best serve your family, your child, or your friends, or the people around you. But if you go out and you help somebody instead of self-medicating, right? Now you're being selfless. So the more selfless you are, the more people you're helping, the better you're going to feel, and the more you're going to fill that void within you. And that was probably one of the biggest things for me, that when I was obsessively going to jails and rehab centers looking for people to help, I was too busy helping people to worry about an addiction or an alcoholism, like because I was just out helping somebody else's problem. So that actually was a big part of removing that problem from me. But I also identify with what you said about the job. That was probably like a second reawakening that I had. I was at that design job for maybe 10 years, and I felt like the soul was being sucked out of me because I never looked at myself as a people person, which I learned later on. I do love all people and love communicating and helping people. But when I was stuck behind a desk, even though I was doing my passion of design, I wasn't out changing lives. I wasn't effectively helping people. Even if it was good design and people liked it, at least now with real estate, I'm able to help people get out of trouble, whether it's bad debt, foreclosure, divorce, probate, and actually able to best serve people. Even as a real estate agent, I could help somebody negotiate a great deal, find their dream home, or sell their property for top dollar. Like, to me, that's meaningful and living a life of purpose. When I was at that design job, even though it's what I wanted when I first got sober, it really wasn't truly fulfilling to me.
Right. I mean, fulfillment is it comes in many different ways and many different energies. But I think that one of the biggest fulfillments is, if you think about it, big companies, they will have all these big nonprofit organizations as well in order to fulfill that, right? Like in order to give. And a lot of them do not just do it for like, yeah, tax benefit and stuff like that, but like now they're showing that this big company is actually giving and actually showing love to people and serving. And it actually shows the really good thing about the company. So it not only attracts other individuals that are in the same type of mindset, but also kind of reflect themselves with those type of companies and those type of acts, and it attracts clients that way too as well. If you think about it, whatever it is that you do, whatever you do, however, whatever you do something, it's how you do everything. So
Mm.
if you're able to absolutely serve one person and you
Mhm.
feel good about it, and then now you have them a massive scale of different people, now you're gonna massively also impact other people. And if
Mhm.
you grow, become millionaire, become multimillionaire, then ultimately like have financial success, that is going to show even more because everything gets amplified.
Mhm.
Um, so it's good that you're actually going towards that path. A lot of wholesalers do not see it that way. A lot of realtors, they think that they see it that way, or they kind of try to convince, but like at the end of the day, they're just there for the penny, for the dollar, right? Um, and ultimately, in my opinion, for example, I grew my company out of giving, going to Facebook groups, just posting
Mhm.
free stuff in there. Someone had a question, I answered with like everything that I could give. I know that only 1 to 5% of people will apply what I'll give. So I'll, either way I'll give, but it shows that I actually care because I
Mhm.
do. And I had my own Facebook group. I had, Facebook groups here and there. I was not like person to person like you do with as a realtor job, but like it's something that you can do digitally. But either way, man, John, like in New York, there's a lot of people,
Mhm.
so many. They're always rushing. They're always like working, hustling, and things like that, trying to see how they can level up every single day.
Mhm.
Um, how have you impacted so far people that ultimately also helped you make money in New York?
So yeah, so in New York, it does have a lot of competition. It's and as they say, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. And I truly believe in that. And before I moved back to New York into my aunt's garage, I was living in Philadelphia, and I just always dreamed of coming back to New York. I was born here, raised here, went to high school in Pennsylvania in Berks County, then went to college in Philly, and I always dreamed of coming back. And it's funny. It's like people say that New Yorkers are always very busy and they're very cold, but I find them to be some of the most loving, caring people, but they are very busy. So, but they also like to get things done and they like to move really quickly. So in my business, if you don't answer your text messaging in like 0.5 seconds, you're going to lose a deal, right? So you just have to be able to move at warp speed and find joy in that. And you also have to find comfort in the uncomfortable, like all day, every day. Like I wake up in the morning and I'm just getting punched in the face verbally, or like there's just so many things going on and things going wrong. And you really need to just be able to find comfort in that and calmness, but also help other people calm down. I think is a big part of like what we do as realtors and real estate investors, but especially in New York where things are really fast paced and moving fast. And, you have really difficult building departments in New York City. You have contractors that don't show up, and it's like you make a mistake in New York, it's a big mistake. It's because we're buying $1 million properties pretty often, right? So you just have to be, it's like they say, measure twice, cut once type of thing. So you just always want to double check your numbers. You want to be very careful. You want to just make sure you're operating at a very high level and moving very quickly.
So if someone from big cities and big competitor markets, for example, let's say we have New York, we have LA, we have somewhere in California, we have Toronto, um, that you could potentially tell them like, hey, what have been the biggest takeaways or the biggest things that you currently do in order to move as many properties as you do and flip 3 flips per month uh, in your market? Like, what are those biggest things that you currently do?
Well, for me, especially the year of 2022 has been the year of systems for me, which is also part of the reason why I met you at that mastermind, because my partner in my wholesale business, we're looking to systematize everything and remove ourselves from certain duties from the day to day. So I think that that's a big part of the success, and to be able to do volume is to be able to replicate yourself as quickly and easily as possible. And it's the same thing I'm doing in my real estate sales business. As a broker, I started a team for 2022, and I have 4 agents that are on my team, but they're all hungry killers out there looking for deals every single day. Like, the guys that they have faith, they love people, they understand investing, they're great to be around. There's no judgment, there's no negativity, and I only surround myself with good people. So I think it's about building great teams with great people, and I think that that's the secret to really doing more volume.
So, doing 7-figure plus a year, do you still do videos and do exactly the same thing that you used to whenever your coach told you to do that?
Same thing. Never stopped. And I did hire multiple videographers over the years, but I have a guy now that's great. And, we're just trying to create as much professional content as possible, but I still create a lot of handheld content for my stories and Instagram, because a lot of people I talk to, they love seeing the behind the scenes and the B-roll. So I always try to give people a behind the scenes look at the renovations or the properties I'm buying, the materials I'm buying, and all the nitty gritty that goes into what we do.
Why is it important to make videos, and why is it important to like be present around there for you right now?
I mean, it's so important to make videos just to connect on such a deep level. I think it's the best way to connect digitally, and it also helps nourish those real physical relationships. Like, social media has become, for me, not just a way to get new clients, but a way to nourish my sphere, so that they know when they know anyone that's looking to buy, sell, or rent at any time in either one of my businesses, I want them to think of me and my team. And the video content creation, I feel like, is the most transparent and real way that you can connect.
So, will, for example, not only like first-time home buyers, not only sellers, but potentially maybe other investors and wholesalers that you could JV with, do you think that they will trust you more? Like, or what do you think they're gonna get impacted from you seeing you in that nurturing?
Yeah, I feel like it really helps build that relationship, to where a lot of times I meet somebody and they're like, I feel like I already know you because I've been watching your content for so long. So it really builds just that level of trust. It also creates a level of authority. People want to work with someone that they, first of all, they like, that they can trust, that has the experience. So you're also showing proof of concept that you're busy, that you're successful, that you're helping people. I think that by documenting that, I feel like if you're not creating, your business is dying. So I don't understand why some people are not creating content constantly. Like, I feel it's not the future, it's the present. Like, you have to be creating. It's a non-negotiable.
Yeah, if you don't believe me, go watch Gary Vee. How many times he'll be saying content, and like how many times he'll be pushing you to like, how old are you? 20 years old. You have so much time. Good content. I'll be in TikTok. I'll be in Reels. I'll be in YouTube. I'll be everywhere. And it's not a lie. Like, you have to be like, right now businesses thrive this way.
It is. I was going to say that you should make videos of you impersonating Gary Vee.
I follow this big impersonator in Instagram, and I'm lying. I'm just dying every day. Like, it's just funny. the way he does his voices, impersonates. So that's why I try to, also imitate. I imitate the imitator.
Exactly.
It's funny.
Exactly.
His name is Nimanas. But hey, man, so you have social. Like how big is your social right now?
So I have over 60,000 followers on Instagram. Facebook, I think I'm around near 4,000. But one thing I wanted to mention is my Instagram actually just got disabled like 2 weeks ago. And it was right before I was asked to, it was right after I saw you and right before I was asked to do a talk on social media. I was like, how am I going to do a talk on social media with no social media? But luckily, I had some relationships. I reached out to people I know and somebody that knew somebody at Facebook and helped me get it recovered. Because what happened is somebody made a bunch of fake accounts, John McSherry accounts, and then said that I was the imposter, and then put a bot on the account so that I couldn't submit my license to show that I was the real John McSherry. It was a pretty sophisticated operation, and they were just reaching out, saying, "Hey, contact me here to talk about paying to get your account back up." But I didn't even bother with that. I went right to the source and got it fixed.
That has been happening a lot for some
A
people.
lot.
I saw that
To a lot of people.
like influencers, people that move a lot of influence and a lot of engagement. It's
Right.
crazy.
It's
It's time to
crazy.
get verified.
That's the next step. But what I will say is, besides that, I learned from this experience. First of all, always stay positive, right? Because I knew things would work out. I knew that, I asked myself, what's the worst situation? Well, I start over, or I have all the content on Facebook, or I create something even better, right? So I think it's about staying positive and not freaking out. Second of all, the second thing that I learned is you need to be omnipresent. You can't just focus too much on one platform. And I was too focused on Instagram, and it was great. I loved it. I'm a highly visual designer. I love to create content, videos. I love to take photographs and document with my son. But at the same time, I should have been everywhere. I should have been on YouTube more. I should have been more on TikTok. I should have been more on Pinterest because of the SEO and how it shows up on Google. So I learned a very powerful lesson from it. And I'm now doubling down on the other platforms.
Okay, that's pretty good, man. Doubling down on other platforms, becoming more omnipresent will definitely help you with that way. Now, like if people are really not sure how to even get into social media, like what do you recommend? Like maybe some people are not as extroverted, right? They're more introverted, and maybe they have no idea what the hell to put out there, but they know they need it for the business. For instance, let's say for their realtor business or for their wholesale investing business, whatever it is, business. What would you recommend?
Well, first, just start. Like, I would shoot a video right now. If you're watching this, you can even document us and we'll repost it in our stories. And I was just talking on social media yesterday at this event in Long Island, and it was one, create something right now. Two, go out and document the property if you're in real estate. Even if it's your own home, give some tips that somebody could do to their home. And three, do something unique. My thing that's unique is that one, I renovate homes so I can integrate that into my sales business, and the businesses feed each other. My sales business feeds my investment business and vice versa. So that's what's unique about me. I also document with my son. I'm transparent. That's my life. I document who I am and what I'm doing. And, I think a lot of people are just really afraid to show who they are. And the thing is people know what you look like, they know what you sound like, right? So what are you so afraid of? Like, they follow you because they like you, right? So you shouldn't be afraid of the way you look, the way you sound. So I would say those three things: document something right now, document a property if you're in real estate, and then just create something that's unique about you.
Yeah, just do the content.
The content.
Yeah, man. So one of the biggest things that I've also seen is that it's definitely really hard to like do New York wholesaling or even New York just realtor, right? There's a lot of competition. Prices, I mean, home prices are totally different than, for example, like the rest of the US and in average.
Mhm.
and it's a different beast. There's a lot of legislations and policies. So for example, like it's a different type of state that you have to do a little bit different. And also I think that for people that do creative financing is not as simple, right? uh, so how are you currently feeding your realtor system with a
Mhm.
wholesaling system and investing system? Like what's the most optimal that you've seen in whenever you're looking for sellers and off market properties?
Sure. Well, first, the New York market, it is difficult, but I think if you're patient, if you're passionate about the business, if you're full time, let's say for an agent perspective, and if you go all in and just focus on building relationships, you're going to do business in any market. It doesn't matter how competitive it is, because it's just about those relationships. So I would get connected to local groups, whether it's Chamber of Commerce or tennis group or a country club or the school. If you have children, there's many ways to get connected and build strong relationships. Also, what we do is, we'll do mailers, cold calls when it's legal. And there's ways of doing that. We also, before the pandemic, we would do a lot of for sale by owner marketing, door knocking, cold calling, and expired listings, right? When it comes to the investment side, a lot of the business we do is either through relationships with attorneys, wholesalers, or we do a lot of our own marketing where we do targeted mailers, very specific criteria, and do really creative mailers to really get their attention. We also do a lot of driving for dollars. And as I mentioned earlier, the guys on my team, they're multi-dimensional agents, right? So like I try to replicate myself, not to just help me, but to best serve them so that they can be successful and be bulletproof regardless of what this market does. If the market crashes, great, they'll make more money. If the market goes up, great, they'll make more money. Like it's irrelevant to what the market's doing. You just need to be aware of it and adjust and pivot your buying criteria and what you're doing. So my guys are wholesaling, they're buying rentals, they're flipping, like they're multi-dimensional. They're not just doing transactions, which also makes them better agents because now when they go to the seller, they say, I can best serve you in any way. I could buy your property cash right now. I could help you renovate the property. I could help you list it on the market to maximize the profitability. So that's really the flipping and the investment side. Now, on the wholesaling side, as I mentioned, I have a partner and we really focus on countrywide for that. We don't just focus on New York. We do deals in New York, but we found it to be more we found it to be more successful to just hit the entire country. So it's a virtual company. We are building out an office that we're going to have a couple guys calling, like a follow-up specialist and a couple cold callers. But right now we're purely virtual. We have 11 people that work for us. And as I mentioned, we pull 85,000 leads a month. So we're really going heavy across the entire country.
That's awesome. Now, to go across the entire country, what's the type of marketing? How are you getting the attention of sellers right now?
It's mostly cold calling and text messaging and pay-per-click. We're going to be doing more mailers. That's something else we do a lot in New York is that when my agents are driving around, they're driving for dollars. So they're putting deals into Deal Machine or they're writing down addresses. So they're either pulling data or they're doing driving for dollars. Back to the wholesale business, it's purely just those three things. It's just calling, texting, and pay-per-click right now.
How's the process of like taking realtors, licensed agents, and just making them go to your team, but also understand that they can also wholesale? Like, how's that? Like, I'm pretty sure it's not made for everyone. Not everyone will be like, yeah. Not everyone would be going for it, but there is a profile of a type of realtor that actually fits this every single time.
Correct. And that's a great question. And I was just having this conversation with somebody yesterday at that event I was speaking at. And really, a lot of it has just been attraction, right? So one thing that I learned in the program when I was going through that reinvention, revitalization of my life, I learned that to live by example, right? So it's almost like we attract the things that we live by. And if you're out there doing the right thing, you're not driving by and like cursing people out and doing silly things or posting silly things. You're living by good example. You're putting good out. Eventually good comes back to you. So the guys that I have been just through attraction, through sphere of influence. And I found that we've just been attracted to each other because we kind of have a similar mindset. That doesn't mean that that whole dynamic may not shift a bit in the future as we start to grow, but I really tried to keep the team small and strong and really keep a good culture. But they're hungry, they're excited. We do a lot of training. We have team meetings every week to try to keep everybody engaged. And we're still in the building phase. Like, we just started this year and we're still getting things off the ground. Like, our website is just about done. We're implementing a lot of technology and a lot of tools for the agents to use to really become successful. But we're still figuring it out and we're still growing, but we've had a lot of success so far.
Love that, man. Like, what's been so far your best month in terms of revenue?
For which business? For the sales or for the
Wholesale, or real estate investing wholesale? Yeah.
So for the wholesale business, we've had a couple $100,000 months. Sometimes it's not so good. Sometimes it's over. But that's really what we're looking to do this year, is double that number.
Mhm.
And then for the flips, I've had as small profits as 5,000 and as all the way up to 400,000, right? Because it really depends on your price range. Now, we have a couple properties that we're working on right now in Brooklyn, one in Greenpoint and one in Prospect Lefferts Gardens. The one in Prospect Lefferts Gardens is an actual brownstone. So it's landmarked. It's a piece of history. It's in a historic district. So you cannot change the structure. You can only change the interior, but you still have to keep the whole design aesthetic of all the original wood pieces from the 1800s. But we're doing a full gut renovation. We bought that property for $1,075,000. We're putting around $250,000 into it, and the projected ARV is $2.6 million. So that's going to be a big margin. Not every project's like that, but you're going to get projects like that in New York if you're building your network.
That's pretty awesome. Like, if we were to, like, say, compare or like see the business structure from the inside of the realtor sales versus like wholesale and investing sales, like, how do they actually work, or what are the biggest differences, like, in terms of the people that you need to hire, departments, compared to like the people that you currently have right now, and maybe they communicate with each other? So how's that right now with your business on both ends?
Well, right now the teams are very different, but they do communicate at some level. Like, the real estate team is just focused on doing real estate and local deals. The wholesale business is more focused on out of state and across the country. But we are looking to actively grow both at the same time. The sales team as agents, we also have to be very careful that we're following the guidelines, realtor guidelines, local, state, and on a national level. So we're very careful. We always disclose that we're a real estate agent when we go into a house, if we're looking to buy it ourselves or if we're looking to wholesale it and have some sort of cross-pollination. And then on the wholesale business, because it's all virtual, right now I take care of all the acquisitions. My partner takes care of the dispositions. And now we're implementing other key team members, like the transaction coordinator. We used to have a lead manager. We also have a manager that manages the cold callers. And we're going to be looking to hire some other key players and especially replace ourselves as acquisitions and dispositions. So both are operated very differently, but there is a little bit of crossover between them.
And for realtor sales side, do you, obviously I'd like for the listeners to understand, is it common that they hire VAs or employees as well, even though they're like part of a brokerage, or how is yours on how you're thinking about that?
That's a good question, and a lot of teams do that. As we are just kind of starting to build, we do have a COO, and that's Jeff, and he's kind of like the manager. He kind of watches over, schedules meetings, puts things together, runs everything by me, and he's also going to be investing with me. So it's just such a really cool dynamic. That being said, the team members on the team all kind of do different roles. Like Gio, he's a great buyer's agent. He just crushes it, kills it. He takes a buyer out. He closes them the first day. Fernando, great listing agent. We go on a lot of listing presentations together. He brings in a lot of listings. We share a lot of listings. And then Christian's new to the business, killing it with buyers, doing great open houses and really converting people. Now, about hiring, Gio is actually starting to bring on some local assistants to kind of help with folding letters, creating content, putting it out. And so he's starting to leverage other people. Now Jeff is going to also start implementing pieces like we'll hire a marketing manager. We'll eventually replace Jeff's role and move him to another spot. So we're always looking to implement more people. And I think that that's a great question. And we're just going to continue to implement, replace ourselves, and look to grow.
Man, love that. Now, I think that's a great thing that we're speaking today, because we probably can have a secondary like episode and see how those things that we have learned, not only from the Tiffany High's event and everything that you're implementing, once it's implemented and now you're growing your team, to see how things have changed. But like, look at where you are. You currently are in a really good position. I think you mentioned to me that you have like an obsession personality, so that you can easily get obsessed. Right now, it seems like you're obsessed for success, like real,
Right.
not only financial success, time success, I mean, location success and everything. And it seems like you're moving pretty fast, because before you were obsessed with other things, right? Parties, drugs, things like that. If someone that is going through like a really difficult time, what do you really recommend them, and what do you really absolutely tell them, like, hey, like, I got you, man. I got you, and this is what you could potentially start doing.
Wow, I love that question. That's really powerful, and it almost gives me chills because, I was thinking earlier while you were talking, is that it was almost like nothing really changed within me. It's the same energy, the same kind of energy that I put into partying is the same energy that I put into my business. So I believe anybody can do that, but I also believe that if somebody needs help, they need to get help. Like if you need to go to a meeting or a 12-step program or just talk to someone, I highly recommend that. I highly, highly recommend getting help, reaching out to either someone that's at a meeting or someone like me or someone like you that could kind of provide guidance. Now, we could lead a horse to water, but we can't force that horse to drink. So that's something that I say to people all the time. Like people come to me like, oh, my cousin has this issue or this person has an issue. I said, I will gladly talk to that person. I will share my strength and hope and experience with that person. But I can't save them. Like we're not God. We can't just save people, but we could tell them our story, right? We could share our experience, strength, and our hope for them. And we could let them know that we'll be here for them when they're ready, but we can't like force somebody's hand and make them do something. But at least we've shared the message. We told them there's a way out. And when they're ready, when they're truly ready to get help, there's help out there, but you have to really want it. And that's the thing, is that when I was out there, I've been in so many car accidents. I was resuscitated back to life, and none of that helped. It was only when I actually hit my emotional and physical bottom and I was completely broken that I was ready to get help. Now, we all have our different bottoms and different levels of needing help, but it's almost like you almost want to wish that upon someone, like hit your bottom faster so that you really want the help and you really want change. That's the thing. Somebody has to really want it or it's not going to work.
Do you think that the same advice can work in, for example, let's say flawed relationships or marriages, or like flawed leaders that are not really great leaders and they absolutely need to change because they're crumbling a company? Like, do you think the same advice can be applied to those type of individuals?
100%. And there's also 12-step programs for any kind of issue you could possibly have. And I feel like also having some sort of belief in something. It could be a rock. It could be the universe. It could be a higher power. It could be God. I feel like the powerful thing for me was understanding that I'm not God, understanding that I'm not at the center of everything, which also provided relief because I don't have to figure it all out. It's not up to me. I'm not in control. And once you're able to kind of take a step back and understand that, regardless of what your understanding is, and to understand that you need help, right? And to understand that you're not in control, that's when you can truly get help and get better, regardless of what you're struggling with. Because I feel like that's what a lot of people struggle with, is that they want to control everything. And ego is involved and selfishness is involved. And once those things are removed, not just remove surface level, but root and branch. Like the process that I went through, I had to physically go out and make amends to every single person in my life that I may have harmed. And even if it was just all in my head, just the fact of going out and saying, hey, listen, I shouldn't have said what I said. I'm sorry, and not expecting anything in return removes the guilt from you, removes the problem root and branch. And these things that just play over in our head are the things that cause us to either drink or to act out or to do things that we shouldn't be doing. So I truly believe that stuff needs to be removed from the inside, because the drinking or the drugging is just a result of what the real problem is. So that's what really has to be removed.
Yeah. I think that you said something like how sometimes it's just that we are just acting way too selfish and now we have to be way too selfless. And one of my biggest lessons in business and so far in life, when especially growing and actually like start doing things with other people, with employees and things like that, is that you have to now be selfless. Let me tell you, because at the beginning, when we're entrepreneurs and we're solo and we're doing like freelance or like solo business and solo business owners, you are selfish because like everything you're doing is like for you, for like your growth, for like your personal development, for like making the bank look really big and the money coming in and everything. You're selfish. But like when you need to grow and you start getting people, VAs, team members, personal systems, whatever that is, now you have to change, make the switch of being selfless. And that's how you ultimately grow, because now you're selfless. Now you are absolutely now thinking and passionately thinking and like creating solutions for the people that surround you, not really yourself. And that's how you grow, because companies grow with people, right? And whether that's externally or internally, the people will make you grow. All right.
Yes, that's
That's,
powerful. And that just reminded me that what I was doing in that process when I first started was selfishly, right, looking to selflessly find people to help. Because I was doing it for myself so I could get better and basically not die. Like I had to go out and help people, which was the selfless act. And it's kind of like what they say when like, a plane's crashing or whatever, or the oxygen masks come down in a flight. The mom has to put the mask on her face first so she could live, so she could put it on the baby's face, right? So it's like we have to take care of ourselves so we could help other people, which I think is a big part of it.
yeah. How can people actually find you in social media again?
Sure. So they can find me on Instagram. It's my name, John, and then a period. So John.McSherry on Instagram, or you can look me up on Facebook. It's my name, John McSherry. My personal page has my middle name in it. It's John Baron McSherry, and my professional page has John McSherry in it. But I post the same content on all platforms. Probably the best way to connect is on Instagram. I'm always on it, and hopefully it doesn't get shut down again. But I'll be on it.
If you get hit by some sort of forex or crypto trading or whatever, that's not John. That is one of the fake accounts that John probably has, because like people want to really do harm to big accounts and high engaging accounts. So just a quick thing there. And if you really like this episode, you think it provided you value, share with your circle. It will help us a lot. Share, subscribe wherever you are, and make sure that you let them know. Just post this in Facebook and Instagram, post it on, and we're available everywhere like Spotify, Audible, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube. I'll create my own podcast studio at some point. I'm kidding, but we're everywhere, guys. And this episode will be launched live in audio MP3, high quality MP3 only, in just a few weeks. But for now, you can find it in the Facebook group right now, REI Marketing and Conversion, for real estate investing. So that's the way you can find us as well. Follow John. He's an amazing individual. I met him. It was really cool meeting him. We had some good things in the bar, good things in the hotel, good things in the cab. It almost sounds like we dated, but that's not the way it was. All right, guys. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and hope you have a great rest of your week. And let's freaking crush it. Let's go.
Thanks, guys.